What's up, everybody? One of the greatest leaders I ever had changed my life forever. But you see, it wasn't the things that he said that has stuck with me over these years. It's actually the way he made me feel. Like, he made me feel like I had a voice. Like, he would listen to me. And he made me feel like I mattered. Like, if I needed coaching or any sort of direction, he would give it to me. And he made us feel like we were part of a team. Everyone around him felt like we were working together, like we were one unit. My name is Matt with Elevating Yourself, and today we're going to be talking about the power of emotion. Emotion is such a powerful tool, and it allows us to connect with people so much more deeply. And it really does enhance the lives of others around us. And it can also detract from the lives around us as well. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about just why emotion changes people and how you can use it to the better of your own ability so that you can make stronger connections. So why do emotions matter so much? You see, emotions are the foundation for human connection. We are actually wired to connect emotionally, not logically. And no matter what the relationship you have with people, whether it be professional or personal, most of those are charged based off of emotions. And just like I said at the beginning, people will forget what you said to them. People will never forget how you made them feel. The amygdala, which is the brain's emotional center, is key to memory formation. Emotionally charged events activate the amygdala, which in turn makes memories more stronger and more vivid. There are actually studies that show that moments like these, whether they're positive or negative, are actually remembered much more clearly and for a longer period of time. I mean, I can remember getting stung by a bee when I was 3 or 4 years old. I remember accidentally lighting a towel on the kitchen on fire when I was like 8 years old. And I remember cutting my own hair just before church and running and showing my mom, and I can still hear her scream after she saw what I did. Now, I know it sounds like I wasn't the best kid. Trust me, I was a good kid. I just had those moments. But that's what I'm saying, is that those things are ingrained into my brain, and it was because of the emotions that came with it that make them longer lasting. Like, I can close my eyes and picture those moments very, very clearly. So how can you make people feel seen, heard, and valued? Active listening is a great way of doing this, but it's not just listening, it's actually making sure the other person feels understood. And I see this all the time where people feel like they're listening, but they're just listening to respond. And there are so many instances where I can actually see the other person not necessarily listening to what they're saying, but listening for when they're going to stop talking so they can just speak. In a lot of situations when we're trying to listen to somebody or maybe give them advice, we tend to think that we have to have something profound to say, that the things that we're going to say are going to be the things that change this situation around, when realistically all the situation may need is just a good pair of ears. There are actually some simple actions that you can do in order to make people feel cared and respected. Using somebody's name when you're having an interaction can absolutely personalize the interaction, and that's important. Maintaining eye contact and making sure that you're not being distracted by anything is a very important thing. And honestly, in this day and age, it can be very hard to do with cell phones and virtual environments and things like that. But it is an important thing to do because you're looking at that person, wanting to make sure that they feel heard, that they feel understood. Then make sure you're mirroring emotions. If they're excited, make sure you're showing that excitement. If they're struggling in some capacity, make sure that they know that you're there for them. And then afterwards, follow up with them. If they've heard you and you've heard them and you follow up to find out what it is that's going on in their life after they've talked to you, it's going to make much more impactful events in their life and in yours as well. Emotions can tend to have a ripple effect as well. When emotions are present, it will affect outwards, impacting other people around. You have to understand that your emotions don't exist in isolation. You can actually have a chain reaction of events that happen because of emotion. One single act of kindness, frustration, or enthusiasm can actually impact others around you. And there have been studies that show it can actually spread like a virus. And I can tell you this firsthand. There's days where my wife was frustrated at the kids. And although I'm not directly impacted by it, I see her frustration and I can't be happy that morning. And I can feel myself even getting frustrated along the way, even though they haven't really frustrated me. But the frustration that she's feeling, I'm actually feeling for her as well. And if you're not careful, those emotions can bleed into things like work or your other personal interactions that day, which can then have more impacts around you. And that's why you have to be careful. Emotions can be such a thing that if you're not cautious in how you're feeling, can have dramatic impacts on people and even bring them down when that's not the intention that you've been trying to do. Now, there is a dark side to emotions, and it's important to understand these so that if you see them or if you start to feel them, that you can avoid them at all costs. A couple of these are things like guilt tripping, gaslighting, silent treatment, and love bombing. And it's important to know these because it can be very easy to fall into an emotionally abusive relationship, both professionally and personally. And they can happen very subtly, but the problem is that they have long-term effects. Just like we talked about throughout this entire video, memories are ingrained from emotion, and it gets in there and it is very hard to get out. And so if you get into these situations where you're having an abusive relationship emotionally, it can really last with you for a very long time and impact you for a very long time. And I'm sure many of you out there have probably felt this. And that is why when you start to get into these situations where you know it's happening, you have to make changes. Whether you're talking to those individuals or whether you're just looking to get out of the relationship altogether. I never want people to make drastic moves, but you have to understand that you may think you're strong, but these things happen so subtly that they can impact you for a very, very long time. Thanks for watching today. The power of emotions can be extremely strong, and it's important because it impacts you and it can impact the people around you. And it's a power that we must all use very wisely, as it can have negative impacts on people around us as well. So just make sure that when you're using emotions, that you're using it from a place of good and that you're understanding what those emotions could do to the people around you. And if you haven't had a chance, do me a favor and check out some of the videos I've got posted. Remember, elevating yourself to the next level starts with just a single step. Take your step today. We'll see you next time.